Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It is 4:06 on December 4th, 2013. Before we get into it, let me just remind you that the website and the video are for educational purposes only, and nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I am not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. What an interesting couple of days we've had. Let's take a look. Okay, looking at a 5-minute chart, yesterday we had placed these sets of lines, these two blue lines on the chart. Actually, this lower one was already there, and its partner, or its pair line, if you will, was this top line right here. And I mentioned that this looked like it was kind of coming down in a descending wedge that broke out, and it looked like we maybe had a little inverted head and shoulders here, which we saw today did not play out. But just the same, I think it was worth mentioning. We did come back down. We started the day on weakness, rallied back, and by the way, that weakness took us right about to the apex of this wedge. And I'll have to be honest with you, for a while there, up until about 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the afternoon, I felt like I was pretty darn smart, seeing this dip here. And then this nice rally of about 13 points off of that dip, getting up over this top line that we just put on the chart yesterday, with the idea that getting over this line should signify an end to this little wave of selling. But I don't need to tell you what happened. We got over that line and then immediately took it back down, came up, back tested that, and then slammed down pretty hard with a pretty quick loss of about 13 points. So really on the day, met resistance right at about 1800, had our low right at about 1779, so we had a 21-point swing from the fairly early morning high to the early afternoon low. And then we started to rally, came back up, got a little bit of maybe a little sign of pressure on this top parallel line here, and then took it out. Now here's what I want to do. I had put this orange line on the chart yesterday, and I'm going to show you what that was. That was simply a parallel line to this one up here. But since we got down below that pretty easily today, that's going to go. And I have to be honest with you, sometimes I keep lines on the chart because when something works, I like to kind of keep a record of it, if you will. So this is what I want to do. I'm going to keep these lines right here. And I think I'll probably keep these. No, I'll get rid of those. I'm going to get rid of this one. And I think everything else is going to stay. But this is what I want you to see in this chart. We're going to back out to a 30-minute view. And here we had our inverted head and shoulders, made its target. I'm going to throw a new line up here. And I believe this is one that we just want to keep our eyes on. And by making it a purple color, you probably know why. I'm not saying we're forming a head and shoulders top quite yet, but the dynamics of what's been going on are so far kind of playing out like that is a possibility. By the way, in yesterday's notes, I mentioned that there may be a bearish possibility for us to take a look at, that's what it is. That's what this was. I saw this as being a potential left shoulder, head, but what I did not know yesterday was that we would come down and get down to about that same level that we were at back in the middle of the week of the 18th. So I think this may be a good thing just to keep on the chart in case we were to rally but fail to match or beat this high at about 1813. What was that high? You know what it is. It's on the chart. If we were to say rally tomorrow to 1808 and then start to turn back down and retest this line, then we would potentially be looking at a Head and Shoulders top. And remember, often Head and Shoulders patterns will form when you have a rally that is a healthy rally on the left shoulder, and then a rally on the head that maybe fails to meet what you would expect in the way of a channel, or in other words, this is still a high, but it shows a little sign of weakness. Then you break a trend, then you come up and you back test, oftentimes the right shoulder on a Head and Shoulders top, or even on a inverted Head and Shoulders bottom or continuation pattern. Often these can be the final shoulder can be a back test of a broken trend. So I'm open to keeping our eyes on the last 3 weeks or so of trading, with the idea that this is a possibility. And by the way, if this were to be a possibility, we could also end up being in a situation. Well, never mind. I'll talk about that later. I'm just saying that we've got a fairly long-term support line right here, which is over a year old, and we're nowhere near it right now. But if we were to break it, and this were to be, if we were to break this neckline, that would tell us that we're coming down to, in all likelihood, test this line. So right now, you're saying to yourself probably, well, that's kind of, what are you saying? What are you saying there, Jim? Well, what I'm saying is, I think we have a good chance of back testing this broken support line. And if we get up to that back test and then start to really roll over and come back down to 1779, 1778, watch that for a possible Head and Shoulders top. Is there a bullish scenario? Well, yeah, there's a bullish scenario, and that is we just keep going up, but we stay underneath this line, or kind of unlikely, or we take this line out and we just keep heading up. I'm not really thinking that's going to happen. If there is a bullish case to be made, it is we've just shifted lanes. We're now one lane over to the right, and we go up, but we do so while staying to the right and under this extended line right here. So guys, you can see some of the intricacies of what took place today as we look at this chart. Interesting, even though the trend lines on the 5-minute chart kind of misbehaved a bit, you can still see we bounced on this lower channel line right here. You can see that this channel line gave some resistance here, gave a little token resistance there, and then finally got taken out. So as we go into tomorrow, I would think, despite the fact that this line looked kind of porous today, I would think, having gotten over this twice in the same day, this should give us some support. If we do encounter some weakness tomorrow, I think this line could pick us up. And if we come down again to this line, after maybe a little rally, that's when I would start being open-minded to the head and shoulders top idea. Doubtful that that's something that would break down real quickly. I would say we should be spending a couple days over here on the right side of the chart between this line and this line if we are forming a head and shoulders top. So guys, there's your video for December 4th, 2013. Let's see if this ends up being a head and shoulders top or if we just make a new high, but do so while staying clear to the right and under this trend line that I'm highlighting right now. Finally, I want to thank you again for watching. Appreciate your support. Take care.